Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, this is iRadio's 1 o'clock news. First, here are the headlines. The Presidential Advisor of Security Affairs is calling on the holdout groups to join the peace process as the unity government continue with its implementation. The Minister of Cabinet Affairs says the recently signed agreement on the command structure has given the SPLM-IG 60% sharing ratio while the opposition with 40%. And the first Vice President, Dr. Riek Machar, will this week submit the list of security officials for appointment in the unified command structure. These stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Lugala Mulai, and now the news in detail. The Presidential Advisor of Security Affairs is calling on the holdout groups to join the peace process as the unity government continue with its implementation. Tut Gatluak says for South Sudan to be fully in lasting peace, all those who did not sign the peace deal should be part of the current peace process. Former Army Generals Paul Malong and Thomas Cirillo are the holdout leaders yet to sign the peace with the government. Thomas Cirillo is the leader of the South Sudan National Salvation Front, while Paul Malong is the head of the National Democratic Movement. The South Sudan Opposition Movement's alliance also include Pagana Mum of the Real SPLM, among others. Last year, President Kiir announced resumption of the Rome peace talks with the holdout groups. The talks are mediated by the Senegidio Catholic community in Italy. They seek to include the holdout opposition groups in the revitalized peace process. Tut, who is also the head of the National Transition Committee, appealed to the holdout groups to join the peace wagon for South Sudan to have stability. He made the remarks in Juba yesterday during a briefing to the diplomatic corps in the country.
هذا المنبر نناشد كل أخواننا الذين خارج الاتفاقية وخارج جنوب السودان يضم بذل فرصة من كل عشان جنوب يستقر ونحن نمضي على التنمية والاستقرار في جنوب السودان. عشان نحن دائما محسوبين أننا كمشاكل ربنا يسعدنا نكون بتاع السلام ما يكون كمشاكل.
The Senegidio-led mediation is aimed at supporting an inclusive peace agreement in South Sudan by persuading the holdout groups to join the revitalized peace deal signed in September 2018. The Minister of Cabinet Affairs says the recent signed peace agreement on the command structure of the unified forces has given the SPLM-IG 60% sharing ratio while the opposition with 40%. Dr. Martin Elia Lomuro said the 40% ratio for the opposition will be shared by both the SPLM-IO and the South Sudan Opposition Alliance, or SOA. The three parties signed the command structure deal on Sunday. The deal paved the way forward on the implementation of the security arrangements in the revitalized peace agreement. Dr. Martin was addressing representatives of the diplomatic missions in Juba yesterday.
We have divided the command structure at the ratio of 60-40, 60 for the government and 40 for the opposition, to be shared between the only two partners of the agreement that have a military wing. That's SPLM-IO and so on. That's now done. The next step is for us to now do the managerial steps, such as trying to revisit the job descriptions of each position, trying to see the seniority, see what are the standards, the normal standard for an individual to occupy such a position.
The revitalized peace agreement expects the unified forces to be 83,000 forces. However, about 53,000 forces are expected to graduate from the training camps. They include the Army, Police, and the National Security, among others. The SPLM-IO says it will submit the list of security officials slated for appointment in the unified command structure this week. Both Baluang, who is the acting press secretary in the office of the first vice president, said Dr. Riek Machar is consulting with the security command before providing a list for appointment by the president. Last week, President Salva Kiir requested Dr. Riek Machar to present the list of his nominees for appointment. Pok told iRadio that the list will be submitted this week.
Our list will be ready shortly. The first vice president was in consultation with the security command of the SPLM-IO on allocation of the positions that was given to the SPLM-IO according to this agreement. Our list will be presented to the president shortly so that they are appointed together with their counterparts from the other parties in the structure of the Unified Command. The process is undergoing. The list is almost complete, and we expect that our list will be submitted to the President as soon as possible, end of the deadline, because according to the matrix, the Unified Command will be in duration of the time of 1 week. By the end of this week, probably, that our list will be ready, before the end of this week.
On Sunday, the Peace Party struck a deal that ended the stalemate over the command structure of the unified forces. The agreement was mediated by the deputy chair of the Sudan Sovereign Council, General Mohamed Hamdan Daglo, submitted a proposal to end the deadlock on the critical part of security arrangement. According to the deal, the power sharing in the unified army gives the incumbent government under SPLM 60% and the other parties 40%. This will be exercised in the context of 6 security sector arrangements like the army, police, internal security, external security, wildlife and prison services. You are listening to iRadio News. A South Sudanese refugee boy with special needs is among the best pupils in the recently released Kenyan Certificate of Primary Education. Agwek Majok Luet is among the best top 10 pupils in Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya. Majok scored 391 marks out of the 500, while the best pupil in the country scored 428 marks. Kafuki Jada files this report.
The 15-year-old South Sudanese refugee student sat for primary school examination at Malakal Primary School in Kakuma refugee camp. The boy attributes his success to hard work and full commitment to achieving his dreams. Despite having a disabled hand, he has shown exemplary performance, emerging among the best. Faced with numerous challenges like any other refugee, Agwek did not lose hope for becoming the best. However, Agwek appreciates his teachers for being supportive throughout his school life. He spoke to iRadio, explaining his academic journey to success.
Yes, I started here in 2015. I started in 2022. Yes, I just go on doing my education until the day I start for the KCPE. By that time of 2008, the school in the camp are so overloaded. Yes, that one can disturb me a lot. Yes, because some people can make noise. Only they don't concentrate well for what the teacher is teaching. And that one, I did something that I carried out my education at night. Yes, I just spend my 9 hours in all my subjects. Yes, I did all my subjects in night. Yes, during the daytime, yes, I don't have a good time for.
Agwek was born without any disability, but in 2007, an unknown person set their house on fire and burnt him, which later affected his hand not to function well. He says this affected him in many ways, including writing his work, but despite that, he struggled to bring out the best. Abandoned by their mother at a tender age, Agwek with his siblings were left with the stepmother. After their father passed on in 2017, Agwek and his stepmother moved to Kakuma refugee camp, where he continued with his primary education. Before then, he was studying at Pandit Primary School in Lake State, where he was staying before he moved to Kakuma after his father passed on in 2014. The jubilant boy aspires to join either Alliance Boys High School or Kapsabet Boys in Kenya, but lack finances, and this could kill his dreams. Agwek is now calling on well-wishers to help him support his secondary school education.
In our home, we don't have financial support. Yes, we can assist me to go to secondary school. And now, yes, I can beg you all to assist me.
The hard-working boy wishes to become a medical doctor when he grows up. This is Kafuki Jada reporting for iRadio.
Thank you very much, Kafuki Jada, for that. You are listening to iRadio News. Lastly, before moving to stories making headlines in the region and the international scene, the South Sudanese Embassy in Egypt says citizens can now apply for a new passport and receive it within a week in Cairo. This is according to Consular Deng Gabriel. Gabriel says it will ease the burden of the South Sudanese residing in Egypt. He pointed out that it will only take the applicant a week to get a new passport. Gabriel says in the past, it took applicants at least 6 months to get a passport from the embassy in Egypt. According to the Chancellor, the Immigration Department in the embassy now installed 3 machines to carry out the passport issuing procedures. This step came after it was reported that many South Sudanese in Egypt face difficulties renewing the passports. Gabriel spoke to iRadio on Wednesday.
طبعا المنطقه بتاعت مندرة اصلا كان فيها محكمه وكان فيها نيابه من 2015 لحد الان يعني مندرة ما في اي محكمه.
Sorry for playing that wrong clip. You are listening to iRadio News. And now to stories making headlines in the region and the international scene. Here is Lo Nelson.
Central Committee of Sudanese Doctors.
Sorry for that once again, but you are listening to iRadio News, and now the international news brought to you by MTN, and here's my colleague Lo Nelson.
1, 2, 3. 1 million. 2 million.
Yes. It's time to celebrate MTN 2 million. MTN has reached over 2 million customers and still counting. Are you? With over 2 million subscribers, why won't you trust MTN?
To enter the draw, get an MTN SIM card today and get free 10 minutes every day for 3 months and 500 MB every month for 3 months. And on top of that, qualify to enter a draw to win 2 million SSP cash.
Sabi, what are you waiting for? Buy an MTN SIM card today and get to win 2 million SSP. Yes, when MTN says 2 million SSP, it's 2 million for one lucky Junubin. Second winner gets 200,000 SSP, 10 winners get 20,000 SSP, and others get lots of MTN branded prizes.
Join MTN, the biggest family in South Sudan, and enjoy such amazing offers.
MTN, everywhere you go.
Thank you, Yar. The Central Committee of Sudanese Doctors said a 19-year-old demonstrator was shot and killed by security forces during the latest protest against last year's coup. Police also stormed a hospital in the capital Khartoum and fired tear gas inside the wards on Wednesday. 94 protesters are now known to have died since Sudanese army officers derailed the transition to civilian rule in October. Elsewhere, a motorcade of former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan was involved in a road crash in the capital Abuja. The Wednesday evening accident claimed the lives of 2 policemen attached to him. His spokesperson, Akechukwu Eze, told the BBC that the former president was not personally affected in the accident. Mr. Eze said it was only the vehicle carrying the policemen that skid off the road when the driver lost control. Finally, Ukraine's foreign minister has issued a very simple call for more weapons from NATO countries to help save lives. Ministers from NATO's member states are holding a second-day talk of Brussels to decide how best to continue to help Ukraine defend itself from Russia's invasion. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization is a military alliance formed in 1949 by 19 countries, including the US and the UK. It was set to counter the treaty of post-war Russia expansion in Europe. NATO has so far resisted Ukraine's calls to help in this way, as it fears doing so led to an all-out conflict between Russia and the West. Well, that is all what is making headlines in the region and international. Yara Jack, back to you in the studio, reporting for iRadio. I am Lo Nelson.
Sorry, Lo Nelson, I am not Yara Jack. This is Lo Galamole. And from Lo Nelson with the stories making headlines in the region and the international scene to the world of sports with Emmanuel Joseph Akile Lodom. He is here with what is making headlines there.
Chelsea's hold on the Champions League hangs precariously after Karim Benzema's hat-trick put Real Madrid in a position of power following the quarter-final first leg at Stamford Bridge. Real coach Carlo Ancelotti made a winning return to the club where he won the Premier League and FA Cup double after veteran France striker Benzema delivered his latest masterclass. In the other match, ex-Bournemouth striker Arnold Danjuma scored as Villarreal stunned Bayern Munich in the first leg of their Champions League quarter-final tie. But as poor as Bayern, where they will feel they can turn things around against the Spanish side in the return leg on Tuesday, 12 April. In the World Cup, security guards in Qatar working on projects that include some linked to the 2022 World Cup have been subjected to conditions which amount to forced labor, claims Amnesty. In a new report published just days after the official draw for the tournament, the human rights organization documented the experiences of 34 employees from 8 private security companies. Amnesty says the workers were employed by private companies which provided services for sites including football stadiums as well as other infrastructure projects essential for the World Cup. At least 3 of the companies provided security for recent FIFA tournaments in Qatar, including the 2020 Club World Cup and the 2021 FIFA Arab Cup. And finally, Maxwell Cornet scored a late winner to earn Burnley a vital win over fellow strugglers Everton in their bid to remain in the Premier League. The Ivorian capitalized upon 2 poor errors by Jordan Pickford and Ben Godfrey in the 85th minute to earn Sean Dyche's side only their 4th league win of the season. It lifted them to within 1 point of safety behind Frank Lampard's 4th bottom side. That's the end of our radio sports news, and back to you, Lugala Mulai.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel Joseph Akile, for taking us through that. You are listening to iRadio News, and to end this bulletin, here are the headlines once again. The presidential advisor on security affairs is calling on the holdout groups to join the peace process as the unity government continues with its implementation. The Minister of Cabinet Affairs says the recently signed agreement on the command structure has given the SPLM IG 60% sharing ratio, while the opposition with 40%. And the first Vice President, Dr. Riek Machar, will this week submit the list of security officials for appointment in the unified command structure. That is the end of iRadio Afternoon News. You can get these stories and updates by subscribing to iRadio News Alert on your MTN South Sudan number. Call 700 or dial *700# and follow the instructions. If there's a story or an event you would like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 987 870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on Twitter at iRadio Juba. Like our Facebook page, iRadio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for the news in Arabic at 1:30. I had been Lugala Mulai. Thanks for listening.
1, 2, 3. 1 million. 2 million.
Yes. It's time to celebrate MTN 2 million. MTN has reached over 2 million customers and still counting. With over 2 million subscribers, why won't you trust MTN?
To enter the draw, get an MTN SIM card today and get free 10 minutes every day for 3 months and 500 MB every month for 3 months. And on top of that, qualify to enter a draw to win 2 million SSP cash.
Sabi, what are you waiting for? Buy an MTN SIM card today and get to win 2 million SSP. Yes, when MTN says 2 million SSP, it's 2 million for one lucky Junubin. Second winner gets 200,000 SSP, 10 winners get 20,000 SSP, and others get lots of MTN branded prizes.
Join MTN, the biggest family in South Sudan, and enjoy